Midlife is the time when you are closing into retirement. One is in a state of confusion or despair. What would I do once I retire? Many of us have dreamt of a beautiful home by the ocean, a farmhouse, indulging in farming, gardening, experiencing the beautiful fragrance of the flowers, the lapping of the waves, and the infinite ocean with pristine blue waters. Unbelievable or believable. What does that sound? Take a moment and think, what have you planned? Have you thought about these beautiful moments, or is it still a dream for you? Hang on, and we shall make your dream come true and walk into the reality of your dream. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Midlife Identity. I am Monica. Midlife Identity is a podcast where we speak about various concerns in midlife. It is also about rebuilding and reinventing ourselves and our lives. The mission of Midlife Identity is to empower to build a legacy. Our guest for today's show is Dawn Fleming. She is a business and lifestyle coach and an author of the book Claim Your Dream Life and How to Retire in Paradise on a Shoestring Budget. Hi, Dawn. Welcome to Midlife Identity.
Hi, Monica. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on our show. So, yes, your book, Claim Your Dream Life and How to Retire on a Shoestring Budget. Now, when you talk about dream, retirement, shoestring budget, like it just swims in my head, I could say that, all right, what is this all about? So, yeah, throw some light and tell us what is all of this about.
Well, it's funny. The book came out of a workshop that I did that was the result of just running into so many people who wanted to know more about how my husband and I went from financial devastation after the 2008 financial crash to living a dream life in paradise. And, it just was something that I didn't really think about writing a book. I didn't, I take that back. I thought about writing a book for about 20 years, but I could never settle on a topic. So this one, it's kind of fun when it comes out of demand, the information that people want to get. But beyond our story, we just also were running into so many people. My book is filled with stories about people who have done exactly what you're talking about, that whole midlife invention. And it's just fascinating. There's no cookie cutter way to do it. I mean, there's just so many options, and I find that really exciting.
Wow, it sounds also very, very exciting. And then when you say that, when because of the crash and whatever, I mean, you went through in your life and then you rebuilt it, reinvented it, exactly what we speak about in midlife. But I think it takes a lot of courage or maybe, a lot of positivity, a lot of pushing yourself. So, can you just tell us what is it that takes us towards that kind of steps or, to get there?
Well, the biggest step that we have to take, I believe, is to imagine what we have. One of my mentors taught me the thing that sets human beings apart from all the other animals on the planet is the ability to imagine a future that's different from the one that we have. No other creature on the globe has that ability to do that. It's a gift that we've all been given. And yet, so many times as we grow up and if we've come from a traditional background or, school or society, we get sort of stuck in a box about the way that we think. And that beautiful gift of imagination gets squashed. And so one of the things that as I'm most passionate about as I talk to people about this is possibilities and taking the governor off and really dreaming big. Because, I also was taught that, we're never given a vision that can't come true. So if you can dream it, if you believe it, you can dream it, you can achieve it. And so that's really how I've operated, for the last few decades,
Wow.
going
So when you
forward.
said when you dream it, you believe in it and you dream big. But so many times I have seen and I look around, we speak to people, but they feel why should we dream big? No, it's not in my destiny. It is not written for me. It is not meant for me. So they already cut off the very thought of dreaming big. So they do not let themselves dream big. So how is it that we can tell people or tell, convince them that yes, do dream big? How do we do that?
And, it goes back to an old Henry Ford quote,
Hmm.
whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So really understanding, and that's really, I think, as I get into this, sixth decade here on the planet, is to allow people to know that they're empowered. They do have power. There's a lot of forces out there, whether it's politically, economically, what have you, that would just as soon keep people from dreaming big and making them feel like, oh, I it's not possible for me, and oh, I'm too old, or I don't have an education. I mean, any excuse will do. Like, you can just pick them out of the air. But I think really understanding, as human beings, we have so much power. We're so much more powerful than we could even imagine. And sometimes it doesn't feel like that, but it's that I really believe that that's the truth. And so whatever it takes to tap into that, and it can be different for everyone, whether it's, you know, personal development through books, or, videos, or finding a mentor. I can't tell you how important mentors have been in my life. I just did a social media post about this.
Hmm.
Time we need to find somebody that believes in us more than we even believe in
Believe.
ourselves. And that happened to me, when I left the practice of law and I
Hmm.
started out in a new industry that I'd never really been in before, or certainly hadn't had any success for. And I didn't know if I could do it. I had a lot of questions, I had a lot of doubts, but I had a mentor who was convinced. His utter, unshakable belief in me, it really fueled me. It allowed me to suspend my disbelief in
Hmm.
myself long enough to allow myself to do the things that I needed to do in order to ultimately have success. And so and mentors are free usually. I'm not talking about hiring a coach, but there's
Hmm.
plenty of people out there.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I think back when I had transitioned out of the practice law. I'd worked in this company for, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years. And I was like kind of done. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for the next adventure. But I
Hmm.
didn't know what it was. I really I knew I didn't want to go practicing law again. I had kind of shut that door, but I wasn't really sure what was next. And so I went to this event. It was on my birthday, actually, and I didn't want to go. And a friend of mine, it was like a networking event at one of my clients, which was a
Hmm.
bank. And it was really lovely. They'd have, like, once a month, they'd have speakers come in and they'd have like a little reception. And she invited me to come. And I said, I don't know, it's my birthday. And she's like, no, 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 you got to meet this guy. You got to meet this. And I went there, and he just gave this amazing talk about mentorship, of all things. I was like, and it occurred to me. I was like, oh yeah, I've had mentors for the year. I don't really have one. And so I just exchanged contact information. I said, can I meet you for a cup of coffee? And he said, sure. And I met with him and I said, I'm really looking for a mentor. And you really, you talked about that. Would you consider mentoring me? And he said, sure, absolutely. And so we met a few times. It wasn't much, but it was really helpful. It helped me figure out what I needed to think about. He didn't tell me what to do next, but
Hmm.
he gave me some exercises that
Hmm.
helped clarify what direction I should go in. Monica, I got to tell you, the funniest part, I really didn't know much about this guy. I just knew energetically I connected with him, right? And so I'm telling you, after I got his bio and I saw all of the things he was done, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm glad I didn't see that first. I don't know if I would have had the
I
courage
trust to ask him.
how successful he was. He just seemed like a nice guy to me. And I was like, yeah, he seems pretty smart. And they gave a nice introduction to him. But of course, they didn't, go through his whole bio when they introduced him at this little talk. So I just think that's funny. And but he just had that. And that's usually the case. People who are super successful, most of the time, like they're
Very
happy to help out,
and
you know?
humble, very down to earth, humble, straightforward, and always out there to help you. Exactly as you
Yes.
said.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But don't you see, everything was aligned for you in some way. Like when you said you weren't very keen to go, but your friend, coerced you into it. So it's like the angel coming through
Yes.
her and taking you onto that path. And when you believe in I think magic
Yeah.
happens just there. I
Yes,
I
absolutely.
truly
Totally
believe
agree.
in that. I totally believe in that because when you surrender yourself to the universe, you believe in the unknown and you're just easy, go with the flow, what comes your way. The doors are opening. So, in your case, as you just shared with us, the doors were always just opening one after the other. And luckily, you followed. And then you had a person who believed in you more than you believed in yourself. Yes.
Yeah.
So that that is so important. So again, I personally, because I'm a great believer of the universe that it always has our back, and we have these things coming in. Me sitting here speaking to you is also one of, I could say, by the universe, one of the things that we can spread out our message to the people out there. Yes. And you just, he mentored you, and I mean, it's amazing. And mentorship, yes, definitely, it's a guidance. It's a guidance.
Yes.
They have their expertise, they guide you. There are things which we don't believe in or would even know. But a mentor can definitely take you on that path. Definitely, the work has to be done by us. Everything has to be done by us. It's the mentor shows you the way across, and how do you? It's like navigating or rowing the boat, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Wow. And then tell us how did it what happened once your mentorship and you got mentored, then what? Because you know what, the way you're just telling us, okay, you had this mentor, you had what happened next. So it's like, okay, now what happened next? Tell us.
Happened. But I'll tell you what really was helpful in that. And I later learned, I'm sure you're probably familiar with the concept of ikigai in
Absolutely.
Japan.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So essentially that's what he did with me with the first two steps was helping me figure out what are my passions and what are my skills
Hmm.
and the exercise that he took me through. And I actually use that in my program today because it was
Good.
such a powerful uh, process.
Yeah.
So I had done that work and I had clearly identified the things I was passionate about and the things that I was good at, that I enjoyed doing. So when we, went through this financial crash and we ultimately decided to, jump on that 50-foot sailboat, sail 5,000 miles through the Panama Canal, change coasts and move to Florida. When I got there, I was approached by some friends of ours in a prior company who were with a startup. And it was a great opportunity, incredible. I'm so glad I said yes to it. But the key to saying yes
Hmm.
was I took what I call now my freedom formula, which is
Okay.
those first two steps, the freedom formula, and I looked at it and I looked at the opportunity that I had, and they lined up perfectly. So if I had not done that work with that mentor, I wouldn't have been as solid in my decision making because I knew that this opportunity was a complete fit for what the work that I wanted to do. And we ended up earning over $1 million in 6 years on a part-time basis with this company.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And it was in the anti-aging. I mean, basically, we sold wrinkle cream. The company did $100 million their first full year in business because the product worked. And of course, the opportunity came to me the month I turned 50, and so I'm looking at the crow's feet right in my eyes, and they're like, just try it, and they disappeared in a week. I go, okay, I'm in, and so So we did this business. It was such a fun ride. I mean, I met lifelong friends in that, and I honed my speaking skills, and I was doing speaking and training and networking and meeting new people, which were all things that I really enjoy
Want
doing.
enjoyed,
And
right?
so it was a great platform, springboard, to the next thing.
Beautiful. So actually, see, it is when you're just ready to take the next step, take the risk. Okay, what do I lose from it? And
Yes.
but many a times we just hold ourselves back. That's the big mistake I think most of us do, because we limit ourselves, hold ourselves, we are not confident, we are not sure, and we expect a result. Before we have even stepped out or we wanted to do that action, we expect a result. So it is actually said that you just keep doing your action and the result is the byproduct of that action. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work, but it's a learning process. And why not learn? It's not that everything is going to be fantastic and you're going to be success at have success at every step. But if we are ready to embrace whatever comes our way for those experiences, I think one door after the other, opportunities after each after the other, just open up, and you're a classic example of that. And that, as you were just telling us, right, sharing with us. So you had the experience, you made friends, and you spoke about all that you have done. It's beautiful. So how did you get into coaching?
Well, I did it. I was in direct sales for almost two decades with two different companies,
Hmm.
and so I really learned, coaching and training and mentoring
Mm.
through that process. And I love, what I loved about the industry was it allowed me to do it without ever having to charge them anything, because I was compensated through commissions, right, in the team.
Perfect.
So they weren't paying me, so I could give freely and, share all of my knowledge and be well compensated from it. And what you said before, what we used to teach is, look, you can't control your results. All you can control is your activity. So focus on doing your activities, getting better and better at the activities you do, and the results will follow. Um,
Absolutely.
and if you're in sales, if you've been in sales, you kind of know, like, you can't, twist somebody's arm to make a sale. Like, you just need to get better and,
Yeah.
your craft there.
It,
But that, yeah. And then, with the, like I said, with the workshop, it just really was, to me, it was just sharing knowledge
hmm.
and showing people the path. This is the path I've walked. It worked for us, and I think it'll work for you. I mean, honestly, I didn't know. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to teach them what we did, and hopefully they'll get the same results. And I was pretty blown away with the results that people got. They
Hmm.
really got it. They applied the things that I teach in the book, in what eventually became the book. So the book is really
Okay.
the coaching program
Okay.
that I had. So it's meant to be interactive. There's exercises in there and homework, and it's not just meant to be something that you read once and you put on the shelf. It's meant to spur activity and thought and creativity.
Yeah, wow. Because actions are only things, when you do it, that's when you imbibe it and it becomes a part of you. Otherwise, you tend to forget, or, you may not remember most of the things. But as you said, actionable steps. So, would you take us through a little bit what, like now, when you say claim your dream life? I mean, that sounds fascinating by itself. As I spoke earlier, that, we've all dream, yeah, we should have a beach house, we should have a farmhouse, or a dream life. But then when we talk about dream life, we believe it within ourselves that it's a dream, right? So when we talk dream life, we feel like, when I'm saying it, so it's a dream. But you say that we can bring it into reality, right? And a shoestring budget. That's again. So everything is contradicting. So first, it's a dream life, which feels like a dream. Shoes paradise. Okay, paradise is again a dream. And then shoestring budget. So nothing, honestly, in the head doesn't feel aligned.
Two
But
reconciling. Yeah.
but you say that no, we can get there. So, yes, now all I'm waiting to know, how do we get there?
Let's go back to the imagination piece, right? So
Okay.
what I always where I always start is start with the end in mind.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I've learned through this whole process in working with people and that I've really embraced now moving forward is the idea that paradise is internal. Okay. So,
Beautiful. That's
right,
beautiful.
it's not out there someplace. It's not some Caribbean island. It's inside you. So if you don't come to grips with that, if you don't embrace that, then you're just looking at geography. Wherever you go, there you are. So if you're not happy where you're at, you're not going to be happy no matter where you go. Forget about
Yeah,
money, okay? Because there's plenty of people with money out there who aren't happy.
true,
So
true.
it's money does not buy happiness. I know it sounds like a cliche. And if you're struggling with money, you're like, oh, I just like the opportunity to be unhappy with money. I get it. But trust me on this, that's not really the goal. And my next book is actually going to be about retiring rich. And rich is not about money. Rich is about
Beautiful.
freedom, right? It's
Absolutely.
the freedom to do what you want
You
to
want to
do,
do.
when you want to do it, with whom you want to do it. And so what you're looking at is really what is your desired lifestyle plus options, right? That's really what it's about. So that really isn't that expensive if you get down to it, right? Because people think it's all about the money. It's not. It's really about
Your
the heart of
mindset,
the mind. Yes.
your
So
mindset as well.
yes,
Yes.
the mindset exactly. So if you start with the end in mind and say okay, and some people think, oh, it's about being on vacation 24/7. Well, let me tell you something that gets boring. You might think that that
Yes.
is the be all end all. It's not. You have to have a reason to get up in the morning or you
Totally.
die. That's that. That I just recorded a video for my YouTube channel, and and the title of it is "Why Do So Many People Die Right After They Retire?" Well, that's it, right? They've lost their purpose,
Yes.
and so you when you're thinking about the end in mind, you've got to think about what is it that's going to get me excited to get out of bed every day. Okay, let's assume and you can start with even something like what I did in the workshops and I talk about in the book is a perfect day exercise.
Hmm.
So just journaling and say, okay, if you take the governors off, if I had all the money, time, whatever, what does my perfect day look like? Forget about 5 years or whatever, but
Right.
just about a day. What is
That's
an
one
ideal
day.
day?
Yes.
Right? One
One day.
day. Okay, well, maybe I don't wake up with an alarm clock. Okay, that's a good one, right? And then you just kind of go through. Maybe I do yoga in the morning. Maybe I do exercise. Maybe I go to lunch. Maybe I get a massage. Okay, and that's great. It's a great place to start. But if you think about that and go, okay, well, what if that was every single day? Well, it might be fun at first, but eventually it's like, okay, humans crave routine and they need to be in community, they need to be needed. And so we have all of these things
Hmm.
that are going to be pulling at us that if we don't incorporate those into that dream life, it's going to turn into a nightmare
It's going to be very
over time,
lonely. It would be very
right?
lonely.
Exactly.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
so that's the first step is clarity, getting really clear about, where do you like to live? Some people like the heat, some people don't.
Don't.
Some people like cities, some people like beaches. So figuring out internally what does your paradise look like? Thankfully, we're not all the same. So we don't all want the same thing. That's why I kind of laugh when I see these, the top 10 best places to retire. Well, for who?
True.
Right? For who?
Right.
One of those places might be great for somebody. Somebody go, I don't want
I
that.
can't live
You know,
there. Yeah.
exactly. So really getting clear about your internal wants, needs, desires, and then, being able to say, okay, focus on what are my obstacles? What's stopping me from doing that? Is it income? Is it family? What is it that is really holding you back? And then really figuring out, okay, that's what I need to focus on. And then you can go into the activity. Then it gets into action, right? And
Right.
you can say, okay, and what I teach people is, there's usually a primary goal. For example, let's say it is income.
Hmm.
And so maybe you might have a list of things that you want. Well, a lot of those things can be tied to that one goal of income, right?
Okay.
So if you say, okay, I need to focus on income.
Hmm.
All right, well, then maybe you need to do a skills assessment and say, okay, well, what are my skills?
Skills.
And then again, lining up those passions and saying, okay, thinking creatively. Um, I've never met anybody who has a job that has a dream lifestyle. I just haven't. There might be some out there, but they might love what they do for work. But if you ask them, do you have a dream lifestyle? Probably not. So if you have a job, you might think about what's a side gig, right?
Right.
What's a little business I could start on the side to make some extra money? So and then eventually you get the results. And the way I like to visualize it, I mean, let's say you're standing on the banks of a river
Hmm.
and there's a raging river in the middle, and your dream life's on the other side of the river. And you're
Hmm.
trying to figure out, how am I going to get from where I am now to
The other
this,
side.
dream life? And there's basically three big boulders in the middle, and that's the boulders: clarity, focus, action.
Action.
And you're going to jump from boulder to boulder to get over there. But it all starts with that clarity.
Wow. I just love the way you have put it all across and with so much of clarity and every step. But the first step, which you actually very beautiful said, that paradise is within us. So if you're completely clogged with a lot of baggage, with a lot of maybe your traumas or your thoughts, or you're not happy with your current situation, or wherever you are in life, if you are holding on so much within, there is no space to look at paradise or go towards paradise. So the paradise is always going to be in the head, right? And then that'll, I think, it's a chain of another set of unhappiness, that I cannot reach paradise. And then you feel you limit yourself because of your own self. And so you don't want the paradise within, neither do you reach the paradise which is outside. So I think you have to align yourself firstly, to be able to take that step and cross all the boulders to reach paradise, right? Do you
Yeah.
agree to that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you kind of, think about, if you're ever at a parade, right? And they have the horses in the parade. What do? They put blinders on the horse.
Hmm. Hmm.
Why? Because it's too much stimulation. There's too much activity going on. They don't want the horses to get spooked, right?
Yes.
So part of the process, actually, and I talk about this in the book too, is putting blinders on and really becoming laser focused. That's that second
The
step. So once
focus,
you get
yes.
that, talking about that paradise, that dream life, you've got to put blinders on. And sometimes that means shutting off the noise in the world. Because if you watch the news, it's not good, right? You
Right.
get depressed. You get suicidal quickly if you just, watching the news all the
What's
time.
happening
So
around? Yeah.
years ago, Tom and I were living in Southern California, and we used to get the daily paper. And as we started this personal development journey, what we realized is it became every morning, it seemed like breakfast and bombings and bloody headlines. And finally, we said, enough. That's it. We're not going to do this anymore. And so we stopped the newspaper.
Mhm.
We committed to reading 10 pages a day of a good book. It could be the Bible, it could be personal development, just something positive to start your day rather than doom scrolling on social media
Media.
or, watching TikTok videos, whatever. I mean, there's plenty of different, but what you have to understand is every single day we make probably 30 to 40,000 choices. May not seem
Okay.
like it because a lot of those
Yeah.
are subconscious choices, right? We're not thinking about them. We're not consciously making those choices, but we develop patterns and habits of ways of thinking, of
Thinking.
things. Oh, do I go to the gym? Do I not go to the gym? We make all of these little choices. What are you putting in your mouth? A lot of times people dig their graves with their teeth, right? They're just putting garbage in, garbage out. You have to fuel the mind. You have to really, it's about discipline, is
Hmm.
what's going to get you there. or yeah, you may be disappointed if you only stop with the image, right, the imagination, you don't take it further to say, okay, what do I need to, in other words, that's the focus part. Is maybe the focus is you need to get to control of your personal management. People take time management courses. We can't manage time. We all
Right,
get the
right.
same 24 hours in the day. It's
Absolutely.
about personal management. And how do you manage your time? Do you plan tomorrow before tomorrow comes, so that you're living in a proactive way instead of a reactive way? If you're living reactively, then you're just constantly dealing with what's coming at you. You're not in control of your life. And you're probably not going to get control unless you shift and make it about being proactive, about attracting the things you want in your life and blocking out the things that you don't. Sorry about that.
Yeah, actually, that's beautiful. When you said, that if you have to plan prior, you are not reacting and you're proactive, so that you are prepared for what is coming your way. Your mind, it's not racing against the time. You are just managing each step very smoothly, very consciously, because then you have the time to make conscious choices as well. Otherwise, there is no time for a conscious choice, and it's like the wheel, just you keep going and on and on and on. And I think that is what leads you to be depressed, unhappy, dissatisfied, frustration. I think all those emotions come from that place. And then the dream life or the paradise remains a dream, and we cannot bring it into a reality, right? So but suppose someone, like, if you have a client who tells you, okay, I want a dream life, and you teach me how to go to paradise and build my home and retirement, whatever the things that that person wants. But that person has got so many roadblocks within themselves, are not very acceptable. So how do you, in your capacity, change their thought pattern or lead them towards their dream life?
The short answer is I can't. Right? The
Okay.
old, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. It's really all I can do. And I think this is important in leadership is we can't motivate somebody else. They have to find their own motivation. All we can do is inspire them.
Absolutely.
And that's what their answers are, that are inside them. I don't have the book of answers that I can just open a page and tell you what you should do with your life. And I will never pretend to do that. I'm going to empower you to help you find your own answers and learn how to tap into your higher power, to the universal messages
Mhm.
that are there waiting, hoping you'll ask for guidance, right?
Wow, that this is, I love your honesty, and so beautifully and so honestly you just pour your heart out, and you're telling us that yes, this is not possible. So this is what happens, what people believe. Okay, I come to you and my you will take care of everything. That's the mindset. There are quite a few people, so they believe their job is to just come, maybe join the coaching, and things will be taken care of. But the reality which you just shared with us with so much of honesty, that yes, it's us, we have to do our work. So you will be able to just guide us, navigate us, show us the path, and just learn to take up all the opportunities which the universe is giving us, and be open to it, be receptive.
That I can do is I can offer a different perspective. And that's where the group coaching comes in too. I mean, one of the surprises for me
Hmm.
as I was putting this coaching program together is the coaching calls turned into just mastermind calls, because we had such high caliber people who were really, genuine, and they cared about people, and they're coaching each other. And I'm just watching this going, this is cool. So we get all these different perspectives. And sometimes people say, oh, I don't want to do go group coaching. I want one-on-one. No, trust me. Sometimes this growth, I've gotten more out of group coaching a lot of times than just a one-on-one session with somebody, because you have so many different experiences. You know, none of us have the same experience or training or,
Hmm.
knowledge, whatever. And so if you can, find a environment like that, where you do have people that are interested in pouring into each other. I mean, it's good stuff.
Okay. I just clicked a picture so that we have a, done a recording. And yes, so definitely coming back to your group coaching, as you said. So as you said, the different perspectives, people from different areas of life come together, share their wisdom, their thoughts, their experiences. Definitely what one takes in from there is not known, and that's again very it's very rare. Again, we see that not everybody is open to group coaching, as you said, rightly said, because one feels that it would take away from them. Sometimes it you feel it's going to be taken away from you, but it's the other way around. I think it brings in more people, and I think we just expand and grow. And the more you give, the more the universe gives, and the more there is of expansion, and your heart expands. It's another world. It's just another world. So I feel all that you are doing is even very you could say spiritual in its own way. Maybe I don't give it a complete like a word of spiritual, but it is takes it to a higher consciousness, higher frequencies, higher vibrations, because it is you who help them to see paradise within.
Yes.
As you began, you said that, right? That paradise is within us, and we look it at everywhere. So we believe, okay, paradise is in my dream home, paradise is on the beach, paradise is in my farmhouse, but paradise is just within. And that is so powerful by itself, that you take them through that as the first step. And the moment you understand that, I think you do open the doors to manifestation, right? I think in your book you have even spoken about manifestation. Would you tell us a little more about it?
It's something, I've done it for so long, but there was a period of time in my life that I didn't even know I was doing it. And it
Hmm.
would be something, it's kind of a funny example, but the the way that it's worked originally worked for
Hmm.
me in the very beginning was cars. I'd see a car that I wanted, and I would go to the dealership and I'd look at the car and I'd get a brochure of the car. This is way
Okay.
before the internet, right? And I'd take a picture of the car and I would look at it all the time. And so it's really, I didn't know it back then, but it's really the way we communicate with our subconscious,
Hmm.
right? Our subconscious, if you think about dreams when we sleep, right?
Hmm.
Our dreams, we don't dream in words. We dream in images.
Images.
And that's how our subconscious operates, is in images.
Hmm.
So to the extent that you can surround yourself with images of what you want, that's how you're communicating with your subconscious, because then the subconscious says, oh, this is what we want.
Hmm.
So it's going to work in the background. It's sort of that program, that computer program that's running in the background all the time, that's
Yes.
sort of operating immediately. Now you've tapped into that, and the computer program is saying, oh, okay, well, what about the, oh, it's got its antennae out, right? The reticular activating system. And so now it's working for you instead of against you, because you've been able to communicate what you want. And then, like, the one thing that was really weird. So when we lived in the city of Orange in California,
Hmm.
the house that I was in had been remodeled in the 90s, and it was white walls and gray carpet. There was no color in it anywhere. And about, mid 2000s, after we got married, I'm like, I'm really done with this neutral color. Like, I need more color. And so there was a blank canvas in my dining room. I ended up painting a mural of the seaside in my dining room. And it had the balusters, the cement balusters along the
Yes.
edge.
Yes.
And my husband's an engineer, so he helped me like build them, because there's a lot of measurements involved and all this stuff. So we build them, and I'm painting them, and so it turned out to be a beautiful mural. Well, the funny part is, we were at our house in Isla Mujeres that we bought, and we had this picture of us standing by the railing with the ocean in the background, similar to what you see on the screen here. And in the picture is the neighbor's house, and it's got
Okay.
balusters, and they are exactly the same balusters as what I painted on my dining room.
That is like, okay. Should I say spooky, freaky? What do I say? Oh my God.
And there's been other times, so I'm a big believer in dream boards. And you can, if you don't have the boards or whatever, or, back in the day, there were lots of magazines, you don't see print magazines so much anymore, but you can just go on the internet, right? And find pictures. And so now kind of one of my dream boards is my screensaver on my computer. So I have all these images of what I want next, the next car that I want, the next, place that I want to live. I've got pictures of my family. I don't have children. I have 6 nieces and nephews. We're headed to Minnesota for the summer. And so I see them, and there's pictures of my mom and my 2 brothers and me. And so the things that are, really important that I really want in my future, I have as, rotating on my computer screen. So I see those images.
But then how does one take that first step? How does one go towards this? So, okay, as you said, we have the images, we imagine and we want that, we feel that. But how do you actually manifest? Now, when you spoke about the painting, I mean, that is like I have no words for that, okay? It's beautiful. It's what the universe plays games with us, I think, which, we don't know, we don't realize it, but it's all out there. It is right there as you have experienced it, and you're just sharing that experience with us. But just, I'm very curious to know, how do I go about this? Like, okay, what you want, how do you go about that?
Okay, so in my previous career, I was a business attorney. So the way I like to describe this is it's sort of a joint venture. It's a
Okay.
joint venture between you and your imagination and your emotions and
Okay.
the universe, which is all powerful
Hmm.
and has the ability to deliver whatever it is we want.
Absolutely.
So you have to trust in your joint venture partner. There are certain things that are within your, in fact, I have a list on my whiteboard. I have a list of there were 5 things on there. Now one of them is done. So there's only 4 left. And these are things that I have decided I'm going to turn over to the universe.
Okay.
And one was settling a legal matter. That's done. So now I want to sell a few things, sell some property. I can only do so much, right? I can't make a buyer appear and give me an offer. So I have to turn that over to the universe. I can't focus on that, right? I focus on making sure that the property in East Mujeres is full, it's generating a profit, it is managed well, everything is maintained. That's my responsibility.
Yes.
The universe is going to be responsible for finding that buyer. And if a buyer doesn't come, it's okay. I have a great cash flowing business that is running well.
Nothing
And
to
it's
lose.
fine. Right? Exactly. So part of that is the surrender
Yes.
too,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely. Yes.
We make wishes on our birthday. We blow out the candle. It's sort of like that, right?
Right.
But the key to it, as I've studied this more, I really believe is the key to it is the emotion. And really leaning into the emotion as if it's already happened. Because if you have all this resistance and you go, well, I want this, but da 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 da, and you focus on the reasons you don't have it, you're never going to get it. So it's leaning into the fact that it's coming. It's coming, right? Not looking what we have right now in our immediate environment. That is a result of what we have, the intentions we have put in the past.
Earlier, yes.
Right? But it's not necessarily an indication of what's coming. And so it's almost like Christmas, like a little kid at Christmas time. Oh, Christmas is coming.
Yeah, I got it. I've got it. Yeah.
It's almost like at that level, that childlike level of trust.
Yes.
I know my wishes are going to come true. I just know it.
Beautiful. Yes, I mean, as what you tell us is that you do your action, what is in your control, right? So, whatever I can control, whatever actions I can take, all the duties, responsibilities, whatever I have to do, I keep taking the action and doing my job. The rest, I just leave it to the universe, because what is meant to happen, what is meant for you, will definitely come by you. Nothing can pass by if it's not meant for you. As simple. I mean, you would get it, right? So it's
Right?
basically just surrender with faith. Just and I
Yes.
if one just manages that little point of surrender and just leave it, I think it's magic, magic, magic all the way, right? As you said, the Santa Claus, we have the Santa with us, and it's like it's just pouring and raining gifts and happiness, abundance in every form. As in the beginning of our podcast, when you spoke about, it is not about money, it is not about richness in money, it is richness, even abundance of what is around you, what you're surrounded with, maybe happiness with people, maybe with whatever is around you, what you believe is in abundance. So we have that, trained minds, abundance is equivalent to money, but it is not that. It's even
Yeah.
abundance could be just happiness in your heart, is abundance by itself. So if you just surrender, have all of the abundance, believe in it, the emotion, as you said, believe in all of that, and it's magic all the way. I think this is so beautiful. Our dear listeners, viewers, please note down, write down everything that Dawn has been telling us, and just manifest and just go to your dream life. So midlife, as we speak, is, we are so much towards our retirement, and there are times when there are certain regrets, maybe, where we believe that I wish I had done that. I wish I had saved up. I wish I had invested into this. I had taken certain decisions. So if we are on the roller coaster ride of the regret, we will never attain paradise. Don't you agree to that?
That's right.
We cannot
Yeah.
attain paradise. So we have to let go of what has happened yesterday. Good decisions, bad decisions, wrong decisions, the best or the worst, whatever, whichever. But what you're looking forward to, the next step, it is that just be in the present, surrender to the universe, wish what you want, work towards it, and it's all yours. And if it is not yours, it's not meant to be yours. That's also fine, because paradise is within you. Wow, this was awesome. You taught me so much, see, so much I could tell because of all that I learned from you right now within this few minutes. So, what what is the thing that you would tell our listeners and viewers? What is the message you want to give them? What is it, that one thing that they have to follow or believe, or anything, any mantra, whatever you want to tell them, which will make them claim their dream life?
You know, the graveyards are full of dreams that were left unfilled. And I believe in a world where on our deathbed, we never look back and think, what if? So it's realizing that we have an expiration date, although we are getting the ability to live longer. Science has said we can
Yes.
live up to, our cells regenerate to 120 or 150 years is possible for our lifespan if we take care of ourselves. So, if you're 50, 60 years old and you quote unquote have some regrets, like, it's not too late. You're not even halfway through your life.
Yeah.
So that's the exciting part, is to realize that, if we take care of ourselves, we can live a long, healthy life. And that gives us so much more opportunity to reinvent ourselves, re, you know,
Build ourselves.
redo, a redo button, a reset.
Yes, yes, reboot.
Yeah.
It's a reboot
Reboot.
time. Yes, it's reboot time. Yeah, I mean, that is, so that's what one should not feel. It's finished. Life is coming to an end and it's all done and it's over. Till the day you're breathing, you are living. And every breath that you take it with happiness, take it in abundance, take it in gratitude, so that whatever we have is great. And it's never too late, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wow. I mean, we've had such a lovely conversation, and I think we can just keep on adding and adding so much more to it. And such insightful words, such beautiful words, and yes, paradise within. This is the mantra I think all of us should just hold on to, believe it, and live it. Thank you so much, Dawn, for being on our show on Midlife Identity, throwing light on so much and, giving us the faith. Like, by the end of this conversation, I actually have faith. Yes, I can have my dream life. I can work towards it. I have that faith and confidence now. And I'm sure all our viewers and listeners are going to have the same confidence the moment they are going to go through this podcast, listen to it, and take in all the tips and put all the actionable steps. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge, all your wisdom with us. Thank you for being on
It
the
was
show.
my pleasure, Monica. Thank you.
Thank you for signing in and tuning in to today's podcast. Stay tuned, and we shall forever be diving deeper into the various prolonged battles, struggles, pressures, thoughts of finiteness, understanding what midlife is all about, and wanting to create our own midlife identity. I shall end with the beautiful saying by Victor Hugo: when grace is joined with wrinkles, it is adorable.